let's go, let's go.
Roller coasters. Despite their common goal to thrill you and take you to wild heights and speeds, not every coaster is the same. Amongst the thousands of roller coasters you may see from your local theme park or fair, each ride is designed with different extremes and layouts in mind. One coaster may be built for rapid speeds, while another keeps you below the track with your feet dangling as you glide and twist through the air. But if we're talking about a specific roller coaster, one particular model is known with playing with its height and installing a certain type of fear factor. Introducing the dive coaster. This 6 to 7 across, 2 to 3 rows seater looks a little different lined up against the many coaster giants we know, but its uniqueness is part of the fun. Typically, this coaster takes you up to intimidating heights, crawling to a complete stop as you stare straight down the drop that's ahead. Known for its many picturesque moments and appeal to thrill seekers, these rides are typically a hit, and yet, despite its success as more dives open up, it's as if the coaster fans are getting tired of dives. And soon enough, these models are becoming old news for certain enthusiasts. Now, why is that? And could dive coasters become even better? In today's video, we discuss the question, why are dive coasters becoming more hated? And what's the future for this ride model? Well, I can tell you from my personal predictions, dives may be starting to evolve and become even better than we ever imagined. But first, if you're new here, welcome to the channel for all those thrill seekers. On JB Thrills, we'll make all sorts of content related to theme parks and thrill rides, no matter where they're located. And if you're specifically a Texas enthusiast, this is your #1 source of news for all Texas theme parks. So if any of that interests you, be sure to like button, subscribe, and tap the notification bell to know when new videos come out on my channel. A special thanks to all my current subscribers. Without further ado, let's get into today's video. To start, in my personal opinion, I love dive coasters. Sure, I may have only experienced one so far, but their diving gimmick and inversions make this model appealing to me. And sure, maybe not everyone feels the same, and some people hate them. But the real question is, why does it have hate to begin with? To understand that, first we need a little history lesson. In March of 1999, famous roller coaster manufacturer B&M unveiled the world's first dive coaster, with the introduction to Oblivion in Alton Towers. While the coaster stats weren't all that impressive, the dive gimmick is what drew in the crowds. Now of course, the concept of going up a lift hill is common among any roller coaster, and not new. The typical roller coaster experience is that moment of intimidation as you go up the lift hill higher and higher, waiting for that first drop. The thing is that anticipation is a pretty underrated element, and B&M took advantage of that with this new model, making the drop feel a lot bigger even though it's not, and bringing even more suspense, similar to a drop tower. Obviously, it was a hit, and many traveled from around the world to visit Oblivion, and because of its popularity, it also made other parks want to buy dive coaster models. Soon enough, after Alton Towers, more obscure parks received these rides. But as soon as it hit mainstream chains, these rides really took off, with amazing coasters like SheiKra, Valravn, Bear in 1898, and Griffin, to name a few. One could say these coaster models received the popularity surge in the early 2000s, but honestly, even afterwards, the ride cemented its legacy and still gets bought by many parks to this day, even chains you wouldn't expect. And once again, dives are still pretty common to this day. They're not necessarily dying out, but there's a different trend brewing, and that's the distaste of these dives, specifically by the coaster community. Like eating your favorite meal too many times and losing what made it special, some coaster enthusiasts have switched to leaving the dive coaster bandwagon and instead hope for better attractions. Its prime example, Wrath of Rakshasa. Slated for 2025, Six Flags' second ever dive investment comes to Six Flags Great America as a record breaker. And of course, the hype is real, but there was one noticeable change amongst previous years that we need to take notice of. And that's more of uncertainty over this dive, and not everyone being hyped for it. Of course, you can't please everyone and not everyone will be happy for a brand new coaster, but the biggest complaint I've heard at least, is that for dive coasters, it's been done. You see, while the dive gimmick may have impressed others in the past as it was revolutionary, in today's time, the only one staring at dives in shock is someone who's never ridden a dive before. And what doesn't help is that while the dive is impressive, all its forces is focused there and not on the rest of the ride layouts. Meaning the best part is the drop and nothing else. The biggest example to lean on in this case is Valravn at Cedar Point. In a huge theme park like this one, it's easy to compare roller coasters, and apparently Valravn isn't ranked as high compared to the rest of its rides in the same park. The main reason? The stigma of being a one-trick pony. For some context, it's becoming way more common to consider dives one-trick ponies, as the most impressive part is the dive and nothing else, like I said. And for Valravn, it's the perfect example, as the ride layout is very short to some, and the drop doesn't really do that much. especially stacking itself against other roller coasters in Cedar Point. Soon enough, this stigma started to spread like wildfire, and other dive coasters started getting pressured for being lackluster or very short, bringing the biggest question: the drop is good, but what's next? When Oblivion was the only dive coaster to exist, it was special because there was none like it. But as more and more pop up across the whole world, it's not so special anymore, and coaster enthusiasts / guests alike are craving for something new. These current dives are typically very short, contain unnecessary brake runs, and are slight variations of each other, not really standing out much. So will this ride model become all news? I don't think so, and in fact I could see a resurgence of these dive coasters. I made this video not to bash on this amazing coaster, but instead to remind why this ride is so fun, and not to mention the potential hints that B&M hears the complaints, and soon enough will present us with better dives on the way. Don't believe me? I have some proof. Starting with 2020, we have what I believe to be the turning point for dives. This is Yukon Striker in Canada's Wonderland, a record-breaking dive that's known as the tallest dive coaster in the world, and used to contain the steepest drop until obviously 2025. And while most dive coaster stigmas are focusing on the records and being steeper and better, Yukon Striker did something a little bit different, and focused on the rest of the ride, not just the drop. Obviously in typical dive coaster fashion, it has the implement after the first drop, but there's a little bit of unique elements, with different inversions and a few extra turns. To the naked eye, it might not be like much, and it's just Yukon Striker being itself. But if you look forward again, we have a very similar situation for Fiesta Texas in San Antonio. Dark Diabolical's Cliffhanger was introduced, and contained something that dive coasters never previously had: 7-seater rows, allowing someone to sit in the middle and experience the coaster from the middle of the track. It was also made very compact, and contained an airtime hill, which surprisingly if you ride Cliffhanger, you will feel, even in the vest restraints. And lastly, our newest dive from the bunch, Wrath of Rakshasa, is going to do what enthusiasts have been wanting forever: a non-stop full-force ride that has no brake run. Very weird coincidences, or a clear sign B&M is doing something new. Most likely they've heard the one-trick pony complaint, and soon enough will change the game. If you look at it from afar, the dive coaster hate can be seen as reasonable, as it makes sense to desire more from a roller coaster. If it's short and compact and it's pretty quick, it's not that satisfying. Most people want a long, drawn-out coaster that's whippy or feels like it lasts forever. It's why RMCs are so loved, or B&M Gigas. But we also have to realize that these rides are on track to be better, and you also can't compare them to other roller coasters as they're a completely separate model meant for diving. But anyways, what if I told you that new generation of dive coasters might be coming sooner than you think, as soon as 2026? It's true, maybe. It was announced sooner this year by Six Flags in a very shocking announcement that for 2026, Six Flags Over Texas in Arlington, Texas is going to be receiving a record-breaking dive. Now this could be typical Six Flags speech, meaning a 1 degree steeper drop, or 1 mile faster speed, or one special version or whatever. But in my opinion, I believe that this coaster might be the world's first B&M Giga dive coaster. And for context on why I believe this, you can click the link up here for the video that gives you the full explanation, as it's kind of long. But essentially it's a very high chance we're going to get a Giga dive, the first of its kind in the entire world. And let's say hypothetically it's true, will this dive do the same as any other? I don't think so. The biggest complaint of dives is being too short. With the Giga, you solve two problems. Number one, the dive feels a lot longer. The drop is way more exaggerated and way more extended, truly using its fear factor to the maximum potential. And secondly, because of how big this coaster will possibly be, it'll be a lot longer of a layout if they potentially use the same route with Wrath of Rakshasa, not containing a brake run, or do something creative with it, like what Fiesta Texas did with the second drop. This may just be the best dive coaster ever created. And yeah, it's a very fanboy statement, but if you're looking at the history and trends, little by little B&M is learning from their mistakes and is making something better. And maybe, just maybe, this will happen in 2026. But to go back to the main question, why are dive coasters hated? Analyzing everything, it's pretty simple. They need to stand out. If dives never evolve or change, they're no better than cloned attractions. But on the bright side, it's clear that B&M does notice this, and is actively choosing to do something about it, whether it's adding new elements, new features, or going to new heights. Like I said, I love dives, and even if they're very similar, they're not similar to other coasters like spinning coasters, launches, or etc. They're in their own category. And that's why they're so special. These type of coaster models don't have to compete with flying coasters or spinning coasters, but instead only have to worry about their own model and improve year after year to evolve and modernize. So my conclusion is that while the hate for dive coasters is warranted, we should take another look at them again and realize just how good they are on their own. Not to mention, look for the future as new models will happen, keeping this coaster design fresh and innovative. In result, what do you think about dives? Are they great, and if not, why don't you like them? Comment down below. And if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to like button and subscribe, and to be updated on all my new videos, tap the notification bell. Regardless, thank you for watching, and this is JV Thrills signing out.